All right, let's jump right in. We're going to explore how a country can literally build its way to a stronger economic future. Today, we're unpacking Pakistan's massive push into infrastructure and what that really means, not just for the country, but for the entire region.
I mean, think about that for a second. It's a huge question, right? This isn't just about pouring some concrete or laying down asphalt. We're talking about creating the entire nervous system for a country's commerce, trade, and opportunity. And this is the central challenge Pakistan is trying to solve right now.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why connecting a country is so fundamental to a modern economy. Then, we'll zoom in on the absolute giant in the room, the CPEC transformation. From there, we'll see how that opens up Pakistan's global gateways, how all this actually fuels the economic engine, and then we'll take a hard look at the road ahead.
Okay, so let's start with the basics, the absolute fundamentals. Before you can even begin to talk about things like exports or global trade, you have to build the literal foundation. And that foundation, well, it's infrastructure. The best way to think about it is like this. If an economy is a living body, then all the infrastructure, the roads, the ports, the power lines, those are the arteries and veins. They carry the lifeblood, commerce. They move raw materials to factories and then get finished goods to markets. Without them, an economy just stalls. It can't grow. And that idea brings us directly to the centerpiece of Pakistan's entire strategy, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or as you've probably heard it called, CPEC. Now, this isn't just a few projects here and there. This is a grand, sweeping vision. The goal here is really twofold. On one hand, it's about connecting the country internally, from north to south. But the much bigger picture is about turning Pakistan into a critical hub for regional trade, giving China's western regions a direct shot to the Arabian Sea, and from there to markets all over the world. And the money involved is just staggering. We're talking $6.7 billion, billion with a B, that has already been spent on just 8 of the transport projects. Now, to put that into perspective, that single investment is a huge chunk of the country's entire annual development budget. That tells you just how ambitious and central CPEC really is. This is a complete overhaul. And this isn't just a bunch of fancy plans on paper. We're talking about real, tangible results you can see on the ground. Hundreds of kilometers of brand new motorways, like the one linking Multan and Sukkur, are already up and running. The incredibly strategic water port is operational. And, what's really important is that it's not just about asphalt. They're building digital highways, too, like the cross-border fiber optic cable. That's just as crucial. So you've got all these new roads crisscrossing the country, but where do they all lead? Well, let's head down to the coast. All those routes need an exit ramp to the rest of the world, and that's where Pakistan's ports come in. They are the nation's gateways to the globe. The location of Gwadar Port is, and I can't stress this enough, incredibly strategic. I mean, just picture a map. It's sitting right at the mouth of the Persian Gulf, right next to the Strait of Hormuz. A massive chunk of the world's oil flows through there every single day. For China, it's a shortcut. For Pakistan, it's the anchor of this entire new economic vision. And you can see the real-world impact of this already. This isn't just theoretical. Just look at the data from Karachi Port. In one period, exports jumped by a massive 53%. 53! That's a direct result of better connectivity, making it easier and cheaper to get Pakistani goods out into the world. And we're seeing a really diverse mix of trade. If you look at Port Qasim, another huge hub, it's a pretty healthy balance. You've got over 42% in liquid or gas cargo, which is vital for energy. But then you've got almost 60% split between dry bulk, things like grain and minerals, and containerized cargo, which is all your finished manufactured goods. That diversity is a sign of a healthy, complex economy taking shape. So, we've seen the huge projects in the busy ports. But now, let's explicitly connect the dots. How does a new highway or an expanded port actually fuel the economic engine? Well, it's actually a pretty simple and powerful chain reaction. First, you build the stuff. That process alone creates a ton of jobs. Second, those new connections make it way cheaper and faster to move things around. Third, you're linking producers in, say, the north of the country with customers in the south, or even overseas. And all of this leads to the most important part. Step 4. Exports go up, long-term jobs are created, and the whole country becomes a much more attractive place to invest. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The government's own economic survey says it crystal clear. For them, Gwadar isn't just about trade numbers on a spreadsheet.
It's seen as absolutely fundamental to the social and economic development of the entire nation. That tells you everything about how central this is to their strategy.
But, of course, a project of this scale is never without its challenges. So let's wrap this up by looking at the road ahead, because there are these immense opportunities, but also some very, very real hurdles.
So, on one hand, the opportunity is clear as day. Pakistan could become a true trading hub for the entire region. But on the other hand, you've got some massive challenges. The country's energy crisis is a big one. Siltation, where dams basically fill up with mud and become less effective, is a problem. And of course, you have to maintain all this new infrastructure, all while navigating a pretty tough economic climate.
Let's just focus on that energy crisis for a moment, because it's a huge deal. You can build the best highways and the most efficient ports in the world, but if the factories that are supposed to use them don't have reliable electricity to run their machines, then you can't actually capitalize on the opportunity. It's like having a brand new Ferrari with no gas in the tank. It's a critical bottleneck that absolutely has to be solved. And that really leaves us with this final thought. The physical arteries are being built. Many of them are already in place. But building the roads is really just the first step. The bigger question now is, what comes next? What's the right mix of policy, of energy solutions, and of stability that it's going to take to make sure Pakistan's economic heart can truly start pumping at full capacity?
If you found this explainer useful and got something out of it, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button for Spotwork Learning. We're always digging into the big topics to give you the clear picture. Thanks for tuning in.